In the movie Patriot, when the British Army was pushing back the militia of the revolution, and in the movie, Mel Gibson and all the militia were retreating, and you have Mel Gibson pick up the American flag and starts running and starts screaming, "Hold the line! Hold the line!" And he gets on the little, I guess, the steps of an old church that got blown to smithereens. I don't really remember the whole scene in my mind, but I remember him saying, "Hold the line!" And he's waving the American flag. I know you're exhausted. As an LSU fan, I know that this entire process has gotten you to a place where you're utterly exhausted. Trust me, I'm right there with you. But as the theologian Mel Gibson once said, hold the line. Because the truth of the matter is, whether you want to admit it or not, whether people out there that come out and make a living by saying sources X, Y, and Z are happening, guys, the real truth of the matter is LSU's in a dogfight. They're in a dogfight, whether they want to admit it or not. Whether people around LSU, people around Florida, people around Ole Miss, the truth of the matter is that you want Lane Kiffin. And you got to hold the line. Whatever he asks for, you got to give it to him. And here's the good news. I think this got missed last night in our conversation. Guys, I am proud of LSU no matter what has happened. I am proud of the things that I have heard, that I have relayed to you, because they're not going to get beat when it comes to NIL, when it comes to a salary, when it comes to Lane Kiffin or whomsoever making decisions. They're not going to get beat there. Guys, it's nationally now being reported, as we talked about last night, LSU's offering the most. And quite honestly, it's the only thing that this new administration can do. The only thing that this new administration can do is present to Lane Kiffin why LSU is the number one job in this entire coaching carousel. Now, I will remind you of something. You look at LSU, I look at LSU, I would say probably 90% of the country views LSU as probably the best overall job when it comes to all of the ones that are currently open. How does Lane Kiffin view it? How does he view it? To me, it's the number one job. To him, it might be Florida. To him, it might be staying at Ole Miss and living out the legacy that he has built there. You know, it's funny. In my family, I come from a very close unit of family that's been in coaching since, guys, the late 60s, early 60s. That goes through my grandfather, to my uncle, and now my cousins that have been in coaching for a long time. And I spoke to one of them today. And in the conversation between he and I was simple. He didn't call to me and talk to me about all the wins that he had, because he's got a lot. He didn't call me and talk to me about all the players that he has signing with top premier universities around the country. He called to me and talked about the proud part of himself being about legacy. And I think more than anything, you go to a place in time where how much this legacy or the legacy that you can build weigh in on you. Now, today, Lane Kiffin was speaking in the SEC Teleconference. To give you an idea what the SEC Teleconference is, I know we have a lot of new listeners. Once a week, the head coaches for all 16 institutions go to a 10-minute meeting, and they talk about their team, and people from around the country field questions from. Now, it's not live to the general public. You have to be a credentialed member through the SEC to get there. I know that our good friend Mike Scarborough over at tigerbait.com normally clips it and puts it on YouTube, so I don't know if he's got Lane Kiffin or not. I know the SEC does put, I think it's on SoundCloud, which is so crazy, for you to go listen to it for yourself. But today we're going to talk about what Lane Kiffin and Frank Wilson, for that matter, talked about on the SEC teleconference. Guys, this has now continuously gotten real day upon day. What are my opinions? Because the factual side of things at this current moment, I think LSU's made their offer. I think LSU has said, hey, man, this is what we're going to do. And I'm sure there's some small negotiations going on behind closed doors. But what is Lane Kiffin portraying, and where do you stand? Guys, if you keep asking me, again, this is opinion. I think it's you or Florida. I really do. I know a lot of people saying, yeah, no, it's us or Ole Miss. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it. Because I think Lane looks at this situation, and he looks at Nick Saban, he looks at Pete Carroll, he looks at the two guys that have meant the most to him. And I think he wants to go get a natty for himself, regardless of where it is, and that very well might be at Ole Miss. Because as every time Lane Kiffin steps in front of a microphone, unless this is the biggest troll job of all time, every time he takes the podium, he keeps digging himself a deeper and deeper hole. Maybe realization comes and Lane Kiffin in 20 seconds turns around and says, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I want to stay at Ole Miss. Maybe he stays there. You know, he just tweeted just now. I got his notifications on. He says, if you build it, they will come. He tweeted the Ole Miss recap of this past Saturday. And he's constantly saying he's going to be the coach of Ole Miss, and we'll talk about that. But his actions aren't portraying that. So we'll get to it. What does John Summerall canceling a meeting with Florida mean? We'll get into all that as well. By the way, we got a game on Saturday that we have not even remotely talked about. We'll get into that tonight as well. LSU versus Western Kentucky. Is Michael Van Buren the future of LSU football at quarterback? We'll talk about that as well, as he gave a statement on that. Let's get to a couple comments here before we do get rolling. Rod Johnson says, Kentwood, Louisiana. Us dairy farmers are in the house. Glad to have the 985 in the building. Rod, are you on State Line Road? Don't act like I don't know Kentwood. You know, there used to be an auction barn out in Kentwood. And my dad used to work at Gill Motor Company out in Kentwood. And every Saturday, or every other Saturday, my dad would have to go to work, and I would have to go with him to Gill Motor Company. And they used to have a little auction barn there, and the best breakfast you would ever have in your entire life. Some of them cows, some of them pigs, some of them, I mean, they're cooking that breakfast and getting them eggs and getting them steaks right there. Best lunch you'll ever eat in your life. It's a shame. I don't even know if they do it anymore. But yes, Kentwood, Louisiana, stand up and stand proud. Where is everybody watching from tonight? A couple of ways you can get involved in the show. You can become a member of the YouTube channel, or you can send in super chats, thoughts, questions, concerns. If you want 100% certainty, I say 100%. Let's just say 99% certainty that you can get your comment read, because sometimes someone sends a super chat as soon as we're logging off and we don't get to it. But that is how you can get involved in the show. Where is everybody watching from tonight, though? Ryan Guidry is in the 985 down in the Bayou. Good to have you in here with us as well. Sandman, a Texas man, also a big listener for Rufino Joe, says he's in Austin. Good to have you in here with us. He also says food recommendations in Baton Rouge. Guys, y'all give Sandman food recommendations in Baton Rouge. I would suggest going to Pyran's. Parrians. That's a favorite place. That's my favorite place that I like to go. Go Vol says Lane hates Louisiana. Well, he surely hated Tennessee, because the first opportunity that he got a chance to get out of there, he told you goodbye. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Lane Kiffin clearly never said that. He clearly never said that. Hey, didn't that happen like 20 years ago? Maybe it's time to get over the X. By the way, you just lost your pitching coach. You suck again. Oh, no. Poor Tennessee. Poor Rocky Top. Woo! Best thing to come out of Tennessee was them Dolly Parton titties. Stephen Young says LSU won't even interview Jimbo. They'll hire Frank before they'll hire Jimbo. Yeah, I don't think that I do not think Jimbo Fisher is going to be the next head coach of LSU. Tiger fan says he's in the 318. Good to have you in here with us. Michael Ray says the 205 stand up and stand proud. Good to have you in here with us. Sour Dough Man says the 303 Aurora, Colorado. Stand up. Good to have you in here with us. Joshua Shaw says Madisonville, 985 showing up and showing out tonight, along with Dex, who says he's in Abita Springs. Good to have all of you in here with us. Glad that all of you are in here with us. You know what else I'm glad about? Our good partners over at FanDuel. Every AYS sports show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FD Sportsbook app today. If you have Apple and Android iPhone, the number one sports app inside the state of Louisiana. I will be over there this weekend. I know that there are still a lot of games going on, betting NFL parlays, betting NFL futures, betting NCAA futures. So Lane Kiffin coming to LSU. Now, I heard it from my good friends over at FanDuel. They might have taken that down when when the Kiffins made their way down to Baton Rouge. You can go over to FanDuel and place all of those bets and all of those futures. We're gladly partnered and powered by our good friends over at FanDuel. I highly suggest that you go and you place your bets over there today. I highly suggest that you you probably need to do that too if you tummy's aching, but I highly suggest that you go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. You can set your preferences. Hey man, I got $100 to just play around with every month. Set your limits. That is why we partner with FanDuel, is because they have the guardrails in place for you. Don't go out there spending money that you do not have. That is why we're proudly partnered with our good friends over at FanDuel for all those guardrails that they have there for you. All right. Victor the Third with a $5 super chat says, who or what do you want to MVB develop over the next 2 weeks? What do you want to MVB develop? What I want him to develop over the next 2 weeks, I get what you're saying here. I want him to develop better decision-making. There were some throws. Look, we didn't get to Arkansas after going back and watching a lot of that game, especially the end zone copy. I think after the first time that he missed Xavion Thomas over the middle, he got a little bit gun-shy because he didn't want to turn the ball over, and timing is off. Guys, he hasn't worked with the first team. I want decision-making to get better, and I thought decision-making was good because he didn't know if timing was there. You need better timing. You need a little bit better decision-making. Glad that there were some throws he didn't make. Like there was a couple of times I could make the argument. We're going to talk about MVB here just later in the show. But I thought that MVB's best plays of the game against Arkansas was the 3rd and 7 where you're backed up into the red zone or backed up into the end zone, and he ran on 3rd and 7 and got 8 yards. And obviously the big scramble for 30-plus yards. He feels like his timing is off based off of his hitch. He sits back, flips his hips, says, can't get there, sees a crease, and goes. He's got one decision, then he goes. Guys, 10 yards is 10 yards. 30 yards is 30 yards. That is why I always am going to be behind a mobile quarterback at any point in time. Any point in time. But I think timing for me, for Victor's question, is the biggest thing for me from a developmental standpoint when it comes to Michael Van Buren. All right, let's get moving here. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, Lane Kiffin was on the SEC teleconference. Boy, was it electric. We talk about that next. Guys, is all signs pointing to him coming to LSU or Florida? We'll get to that soon. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just Call 955-000, hey. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. Lane Kiffin was on the SEC Teleconference today, and boy, was it massively electric. Listen, I can't get away from it, meaning I think that everybody's sitting on the edge of their chair. So to just recap what the SEC Teleconference is, all 16 current sitting head coaches every Wednesday have a time slotted out for 10 minutes to talk about their team and to speak with more nationalized media or regionalized media along with national media. It gives a chance for people who, like, say, I live in Louisiana. Let's say next week you play Oklahoma. I can't go to Norman, Oklahoma on a Monday and talk to Brent Venables. It gives you a chance to talk to the other head coach and ask questions about the upcoming game, about whatever it is that's going on. So Lane Kiffin was on the SEC Teleconference around noon today, and boy, did it go off. I'm going to take some of these conversations and break them down. I'm not going to go into all of them. Now, the first thing to start off, I want to preference this phone call by saying, look, number one, I just suggest that you go listen to it, but there were a lot of questions, as you would assume, about the future of Lane Kiffin and what's going on at Ole Miss. One of the first questions that he was asked was, do you expect to coach for Ole Miss next week? In which he stated, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I expect to coach in the Egg Bowl next week? Can you tell me why? I expected to coach against Florida last week, which he was signifying that, hey, man, people said the deal to Florida was done last week, and yet I still coached and still beat them. I don't think that when people are asking Lane questions, whether it be Ole Miss media or today on the teleconference, that they are pushing him to not, I don't want to say get in an argument with him, but to push him to an extent, to push him in a place where you can kind of corner him. So he's asked about, hey, are you coaching in the Egg Bowl? Will you coach in the playoffs? And Lane Kiffin says, well, where am I going to go? What's going to happen? Am I going to get fired? I don't know if I didn't know that I was getting fired. Bam. Bam. Last night we talked about, and we prefaced this. We talked about, I thought that the Pat McAfee situation when he went on with McAfee was very simple for me. I don't think the interview was not about his current team. It wasn't about Kawan Lacey, his running back that he brought on there. It wasn't about any of that. It just wasn't. The message that came out of the Pat McAfee interview was simple. Because of the three big questions that should have been asked, that were actually asked today, were not asked by McAfee. But one of the questions was about an ultimatum, which Lane says, I haven't been given one. So when he was asked about the ultimatum today, which is exactly what it was, he's asked in the SEC teleconference, hey, do you expect to coach the Egg Bowl? Is there an ultimatum? Well, where am I going? What, am I going to get fired? What I anticipate Lane is saying there is not to the media. It's not to the Ole Miss fans. It's not to LSU fans and brass. It's not to the Florida people and the Florida brass. It was to Keith Carter, the Ole Miss the AD at Ole Miss. It 1,000% is a shot at Keith Carter, the Ole Miss booster base, and really anybody that has a say at what goes on in athletics around Ole Miss. What are you going to do? Fire me? You know, there's been a lot of speculation here. A lot of speculation is that Ole Miss is not going to fire him, that they're going to suspend him. On what grounds? I have no idea. You know, Lane Kiffin was asked today about a false report that came out in reference to, I don't remember, I think Peter Hamby was the guy's name, who I've talked to multiple people who were at the governor's function last night or 2 nights ago. I don't even remember. Is it, I think, what was it, 2 nights ago, last night, whatever night it was, 2 nights ago, and said that in this report that Lane Kiffin had spoken to Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry for over 2 hours. That wasn't said. Got that confirmed. But the biggest thing is he's taking a shot to Keith Carter saying, do it. Do it. If you think that you can do it, if you think that you can fire me on legality grounds, is it the Jeff Landry thing? Because he gave a no comment to that. Is it his family taking a private jet that's not owned by LSU to Baton Rouge? Or what it seems as if that they had to get a private jet to Gainesville? That's his family. Where is that in the contractual agreement with Lane Kiffin that his family can't take a plane ride to Baton Rouge or Gainesville? What are you going to get on him? So suspend him for what? I'm sure they have something. I'm sure there's something out there that they can find in reference to the legalities of this. That part is going to be very interesting to me. You know, guys, by Sunday or by Monday, at maximum, not minimum, at maximum, we're going to have some form of answer. Either Ole Miss and the ultimatum, which Lane Kiffin said was true, that he wasn't given one. I don't believe that. Or number two, he's calling Ole Miss's bluff and saying, okay, you don't want me to coach in the playoffs? You don't want me to coach in the Egg Bowl? Do something about it. Because if you do, I'm going to Florida or I'm going to LSU. You choose. And I really ask the God's honest question. Does the Ole Miss brass have the nuts to fire or suspend him? Do you have the cojones? As they say in Major League 2, do you have no marbles? Do you have the marbles to fire or suspend this man when you got a playoff run that's right around the corner? You know, I think that we talk about that, right? Like, we talk about that. We hear about the ultimatum. We hear about all of these things. And we hear about, oh, Ole Miss is coming out with an ultimatum. Guys, are they really going to do that? If they do, then fine. Good on them. It's their decision. But my God, are you really willing to do that? Are you really willing to do that? That is the question. I don't know if they can prove any legalities against him. I'm not going to act like that I am in the Ole Miss inner circle. I'm not. I don't cover that team on a daily basis. So I don't know if there's anything out there on Lane Kiffin that they could suspend him for. But guys, on Sunday, if you get to a place in time where they have not suspended or fired him, guys, it would seem to me, unless they just do something bombastic, that he's going to be coaching at Ole Miss. And I think when it comes down to it, Ole Miss understands, hey, man, we still technically have a chance to make it to a playoff. You know, you look at the current seeding, right? You look at how things are projecting at the current moment. And you would assume that the ACC champion, not Miami, would probably be the 11th seed, and Ole Miss would probably sit around 6. That's where it looks like this thing is trending. So you're going to have a playoff game at home without your head coach against a team that you very well could beat at home to advance yourself into a playoff. That's what you're telling me? You mean to tell me that you're going to walk away from Lane Kiffin when you have a home playoff game against a team in the ACC that we all pretty much feel is fraudulent, and that you could have a good seeding to march your way down to a top 4 overall chance of winning this thing? That's what you're going to do. And Lane Kiffin in the SEC teleconference today, when he is asked, Coach, do you anticipate coaching the Egg Bowl? Guys, he's not giving the answer of, yeah, I anticipate to coach there. I anticipate to coach the playoff. That's not what he's saying. It's the words that came out of his mouth. Yes, I will grant you that. What he's saying is, fire me, ho. Fire me. If you got the balls to do it, fire me. I really don't know if they do or not. Now, the last thing that I would bring up here, the last thing that I would bring up in this current situation towards we move into some other things. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Ole Miss stays at 6. And they got Georgia Tech at the 11th seed. Because, again, I know Miami's currently there, but I would anticipate that Georgia Tech gets there because it looks like that they might win the ACC. The following week, you play Texas A&M. Guys, as good as Texas A&M has been this week, they are beatable. South Carolina almost did it. Auburn almost did it. And the way that A&M has not been able to control and stop a running game consistently through 4 quarters makes Ole Miss versus them very dangerous. Very dangerous. If you were to win that game, you very likely could be in a stance where then you play Indiana in the Final Four. See, I look at this situation and say to myself, guys, they can beat Georgia Tech. They could beat Georgia Tech. Guys, I think that they could beat. I would pick A&M in the game. They could beat Texas A&M. They could do it. You mean to tell me that Ole Miss is going to walk away from him and not let him coach in the playoffs? I'm going to have to see it. Now, there's a flip side of that coin. There is a lot of sourcing that is out there. So what I just gave you was my opinion. Let's move into the reality part of this. The reality part of this is there's a lot of big-time reporters, people who do this for a living that I respect, and I know that you respect because you're constantly retweeting and quote tweeting their stuff. Do you think that they didn't get it sourced and that everybody's making it up? Do you think Keith Carter just potentially told him that just to try to make Lane not leave? I don't know. But there are a lot of big-time national reporters that saying that, yeah, he's got an ultimatum. Well, it sounds good. We find out on Sunday. We find out on Monday. Are you being truthful? If you're asking me, Do I trust the reporting of the ultimatum? Yes. I believe that there has been an ultimatum. I got to see him do it. Right? Like, I got to see that happening. Now, the last time that I came out here and said something to that effect, meaning I got to see X happen before I believe it, was when Florida fans and Florida media came out there and said Lane Kiffin's going to accept a deal last Sunday to become the next head coach of the Florida Gators. I had to see it. I never thought that a head coach would walk away from a team that's going to make the playoffs. Never believed it. And he didn't. He didn't. Now the opposite side turns. I'm going to have to see those words that Ole Miss says that they're speaking and that they're making true to them. I'm going to have to see him walk away from that too. Couple of other things here that happened in the SEC teleconference. Wilson Alexander of the Advocate. First off, sidebar. This show is a massive supporter of Wilson Alexander. We always have, we always will be. I love Wilson. The big nuts that Wilson had today to go toe-to-toe with Lane Kiffin, which very well could be the next head coach of the team that he covers. Wilson Alexander came from the top rope and went Rob Van Dam all over them hoes. Bam! Frog splash. Wilson Alexander of the Advocate asked Lane Kiffin, how did your family like their trips to Gainesville and to Baton Rouge? Which it sounded like, I need to go back and listen to it, so I don't know. It sounded like Lane Kiffin gave a little bit of a small little chuckle, like, and then said, I do not answer questions about other programs and other coaching jobs. I don't comment on it. Well, that's a bone-faced lie. Because yesterday you went on Pat McAfee and talked about Brian Kelly having 3 losses and getting fired. You 1,000%. 1,000% have talked about other head coaching jobs. Lane Kiffin today, whether it be Wilson Alexander's question or all the other questions that happened, you know, like I could go through my timeline here and bring up all the questions that were asked by Lane Kiffin or to Lane Kiffin. Like we could walk through all of them. I don't think that you need to, or we need to walk through all of them. But like there were some questions asked from people about clarity. Like Brandon Marcello of 247 Sports or CBS Sports asked him for clarity. Are you going to take another job and are you going to be coaching at Ole Miss next year? In which he stated, I will not comment on other jobs. Well, that's just a bone-faced lie. You literally said that you had a text thread with Kirby Smart and others in reference to talking about what's happening around college football and what happens at other jobs. But here's the big thing. 7 times today in this teleconference, Lane Kiffin stated, and I quote, I will not comment on other jobs. Guys, if he was staying at Ole Miss, if this was done, he would just say it. He would Mike Elko this thing. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I see a lot of you saying that he is trolling. I can't see it. Blake, it's Lane Kiffin. How can you not see it? The reason that I can't see it for me is simple. The reason that I can't see it is mainly due to the fact that, number one, I just don't think that he gets his family involved in a troll. I don't. You don't get your brother's wife involved in a troll job because she went to Gainesville and she went to Baton Rouge. I don't think that you do that. And you know what you don't do? You don't get your kids involved and you don't emotionally start messing with them if you're not looking. That's number one. He's not going to do that. I don't care what you think of him as a person. He's not going to do that. Number two, guys, you have big governmental officials along with some of the biggest boosters at Ole Miss that are literally tagging him on Twitter and saying to what has been reported that they are going to pull their funds if he doesn't make a decision quickly. So you mean to tell me that all of these people are in on the troll? Guys, every single time that he does not admit something, he just keeps digging himself a bigger hole at Ole Miss. If you just look down their Twitter, I don't know. I would expect that Ole Miss fans right now are just really hurt. Like they don't want to see him leave. And if he decided not to leave, I'm sure they would welcome him back with open arms. Why are you putting your fan base through all of this if this is not a big-time consideration? It is. Guys, I think he's mulling this over. I think he wants to leave. Again, for the record, I just don't know. I don't know where he's going. And for that reason, it's why I've brought up, like last night, Kenny Dillingham. It's why last night I brought up, hey, man, that same plane, that same exact plane that went and picked up the Kiffins, guys, last week it was in Como, Columbia, Missouri, for all those who don't know. Who's in Columbia, Missouri? Drinkowitz. Who's in, well, let me back up. Tempe, Arizona. I do think that Eli Drinkwitz, I do think that Kenny Dillingham is a part of this as well. If I've been asked this question once, I've been asked it 1,000 times. Do you think LSU's got a backup plan? No, I don't think LSU's got a backup plan at all. Nope. If they don't get Lane Kiffin, they're shit out of luck. Guys, I've talked about Kenny Dillingham on this show, not just as much as Lane Kiffin, but a lot. I don't believe Kenny. I've heard a lot of things that Kenny has done, whether it be their bye week a couple of weeks ago, which is what Lane Kiffin's going through right now. Guys, he sent all of his players home and all of his staff home for a week. I've heard that Kenny Dillingham has been shopping himself. Now, Arizona State fans came in here and said that's just not true. Well, you know what? You don't have to believe me, but I will put my track record on the line of things that we talk about that come actually true versus your Uncle Billy Bob who doesn't know shit. And I don't even know if Arizona's got guys named Billy Bob. Shit, I've never been to the state of Arizona. You have a backup plan. I do think Kenny Dillingham's a part of it. I do think Drinkwitz is a part of it. I do think Jeff Brom is a part of it. I do think that Marcus Freeman, which we're not talking about, by the way, I do think Marcus Freeman is still involved in it. Guys, this next week, you're about to go through hell. And I'm sorry you're going to have to go about it. I'm sorry that we have to keep going through this because this is the future of your program. If Lane Kiffin decides to stay, Gus, he's just built a legacy there. Listen, here's what I'll tell you. First off, I don't listen to other shows, especially around here. But let me tell you from things that I've picked up. Guys, this ain't no troll job. It's not. Listen, believe, don't believe. This is up to you. But this thing right here has been going off all week. And I've talked to people around Ole Miss. It's not a troll job. He's literally going through hell. And I'm proud, as I stated to start off this segment, I am proud as hell of what LSU has accomplished and what they've put forth. If Lane Kiffin does not decide, if he does not decide to go to either U or Florida, then his thought process was that, man, I've just really done something big here. If he does decide to leave, then you'll know clearly. Here's the last thing that I'm going to bring up, and I didn't prepare this in notes. I was on with Bryce Kuhn from On 3. God bless it. What do they call their site? Somebody in the chat help me. What is Shay and Brune and God bless it. What is it? Brandon, do you know what? Bengal Tiger. Thank you, Brandon. I was on with the Crowded Booth with Bryce Kuhn, who does the Crowded Booth and does On 3 for LSU. And we were talking about this, and I thought that Bryce brought up arguably one of the best points that I've heard in 3 weeks. Bryce said that if Lane Kiffin is trolling, there's not another SEC team that will touch him. Because you trolled Florida and you trolled LSU, what makes us believe that you won't do the same to us? The thing with Auburn got shitty and you didn't go. If he doesn't go to Florida, if he doesn't go to LSU, this might be it for him. Because I don't think anybody not named Ole Miss is going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. I think it's a very good argument. So when you ask me about a troll job, when you ask me about all of these things that are going on, guys, I think he weighs that out. The best person in PR to ever exist in college football, his name is Jimmy Sexton. Masterpiece. I know a lot of people I know some people that work at CAA, his firm. He's not trolling. So look, the bottom line here is, do I think that you sit in a very good spot? Yes. Do I think Florida sits in a very good spot? Yes. But I sit in a situation with what happens moving forward. But I don't think people touch him. I don't. Because this is played out way too big. Let's see if he stays or if he goes. I will say this. As the day has gone longer and this has continued to go on, I don't know if he goes anywhere. I don't know. And I think LSU's got a backup plan. And I hope that the number one option of that backup plan is not Eli Drinkwitz. I hope it's Kenny Dillingham. I would rather Kenny Dillingham. I think he'd kill it here. He's got the attitude and brashness about him that would kill it here. Because there's a lot of people on Tiger dropping saying this is done. No, it's not. I would anticipate for there to be a meeting that will happen between Lane Kiffin, Jimmy Sexton, and Ole Miss. And we'll go from there. All right. When we come back, we'll get to your super chats. John Summerall denies Florida. We'll get into a preview of LSU and Western Kentucky. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat, go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
We're back.
All right. I lost my pen. Where in the hell did my pen go? Oh, there it is. I'm a man. I can't find things. So there was a meeting scheduled for John Summerall in Florida that he canceled today. Guys, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not a Florida beat writer. I don't cover the University of Florida. Listen, the God's honest truth is that I do think that LSU should look at the John Summerall situation and say to themselves that why did Florida balk first? What do I mean by that? What does Florida know that maybe we don't? Why are you setting up an interview trying to go after somebody when you've been saying for the last 2 weeks it's a done deal? So John Summerall, the head coach of Tulane, had a meeting with the powers that be at Florida. And within 30 minutes, he tells Pete Nakos of On 3 that the meeting was real, but I ain't going there. Take my name off of your board. I don't know if John Summerall got skittish. I don't know what happened there. I'm not even going to anticipate or give an opinion or even a conspiracy theory here about what I think happened. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Why'd you set up an interview when you've been telling people for weeks that you got Lane Kiffin? Why? Guys, I do think that there is one final shot that Ole Miss is going to go here. I think Ole Miss is going to get the final push to keep Lane. I think both LSU and Florida know that, and Florida moved first. Meaning Florida moved in the sense of they got scared. I fully believe that they got scared. Well, we might need to talk to John Summerall. And their fans revolted around them going and getting another G5 head coach from the state of Louisiana when they just fired a G5 coach that came from the state of Louisiana, and Billy Napier to John Summerall. What do they know? What do they know? I think LSU is waiting in the sense of, guys, I got to be real with you. I think you've done a lot of really good things here. Regardless if you get Lane or not, I have been very impressed by how LSU at the current moment hasn't balked. Meaning the moment has not been too big for them, which was a big concern of mine. I look at this situation and say to myself, I think Florida and this search committee, who, by the way, their AD is not running this. They got spooked. I think today was that they got spooked. They booked a meeting with the search committee, booked a meeting with John Summerall, and then Scott Strickland got wind of it and said, cancel it. And they're like, yeah, but you're not getting Lane Kiffin. That could have easily happened. I don't know. Let me tell you something. The TV people at New Orleans who have said that there was never a meeting scheduled, brother, they called John Summerall and got it from him. You don't understand this college football game. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. Pete Nakos knows more than you do. It is what it is. All right. I said we're going to get to Super Chats. We'll get to the game, and then we'll get out of here. Mike became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Mike. We have some content that was posted earlier in the day. We did one on Tuesday. We'll do one tomorrow. We'll have some more members-only content on the YouTube channel. Thank you for being a member. Jay says, Blake. Y'all hear that? Constantly ringing, man. Never a good sign. I always get nervous. Jay says on YouTube with a $10 super chat, says, Blake, I feel LSU needs to be stern with Kiffin. They are offering him top pay plus incentives. Basically, it's a shit. It's shit or get off the pot. Do we want someone that is flaky when asked direct questions? I don't think he's being flaky. I think he's conflicted. I think he's conflicted here. So we'll see. All right, let me get to this really quickly before we get to the rest of the Super Chat. So LSU actually plays the game this week. We have not talked about it. We quite honestly haven't had the time to talk about it. So here it goes. LSU is playing a pretty damn good G6 team this week, a team in Western Kentucky who offensively is very dynamic. Guys, I think that this week, like, it's always something like when you play a mid-lower team with an interim coach, what is the lock-in? What is the buy-in? You know, the guys kind of come out here a little bit sluggish. It is senior night. The game starts at 6:45. I know a lot of you probably haven't watched a lot of Western Kentucky film. This offense can really move the ball. Now, Western Kentucky is going to come out against you and try to throw the ball all over the place. Western Kentucky is one of the best G5 or G6 offenses and just overall offenses in the country. They're 27th in the country in passing and 10th in the country, 27th in the country in total offense and 10th in the country in passing offense. They're also tied for 46th in the country in scoring offense. They're scoring 31.3 points per game. Guys, you have one of the best secondaries in college football. And it's sad to say that you are a 6-4 football team and you have one of the best secondaries in the country, you probably have the best corner in the country, Mansour Delane, I think that you're going to give them a lot of fits. They cannot run the ball, nor do they ultimately try a lot, but they cannot run the ball. And nor do I think that they can come in here and run the ball on you. You know, I look at this situation and look at Western Kentucky and the games that I've watched from them from this season. Excuse me. And say to myself, look, they're 92nd in the country in a very low conference, and they just can't run the ball. Now, what worries me is that I don't know the level of buy-in that you're going to get in every week. Does this team lose focus? I don't know if they will. I think Frank has done a very good job, a very, very good job at getting to a situation where he's gotten this team to still have buy-in. Because this should not, and I say should not, be a matchup that should go sideways for you, at least not defensively. They can throw the ball around. They have a quarterback unit. They have an offensive line unit that has been very good at protecting. And they got some receivers that can really skedaddle here. I just don't envision a situation where you get to a place in time where this secondary balks, and I think you're able to contain them and control them. Because the ultimate truth in all of this, your safety play has been borderline fantastic, if not just been overall fantastic. Your corner play has been very, very good. This team is not going to come in here and run the ball on you. So, with that being said, we have heard from Michael Van Buren for the first time. And Michael Van Buren was asked, do you want to stay at LSU? Which he says yes. And he was asked this week in player interviews, what do you foresee your future? And he says, well, my future is that I want to be the quarterback at LSU. And, you know, I admire that. You know, like I told you a couple of weeks ago, people were talking about the red shirt rule or the red shirt for Michael Van Buren, yada, 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 yada. And I said to myself, look, if Michael Van Buren was my son, I'm telling him to play. There's not a lot of bigger positions than being the quarterback at LSU. The guy behind me, Jaden Daniels, it's become a perennial powerhouse when it comes to elite quarterbacks in college football. Is your future moving towards Michael Van Buren? Now, when I look at Western Kentucky, you get the win. I thought Michael Van Buren did a lot of really good things from not being an older player. Guys, he is a true sophomore. I thought he did a lot of good things. And to be blunt with you, I thought it was I don't want to say the best quarterback game of the season, but it was damn near close with a really bad offensive scheme and foundation. Michael Van Buren just gives you a different dynamic. And there are some things that I want to see this week. Do I think you're beating Western Kentucky? Yes. Do I think that you have better athletes than them? Yes. Do I think the buy-in will still be in there from Frank Wilson? Yes. But I look at this entire scenario and say, listen, I throw out every offensive statistic that is going through the season. I need to see better timing. I need to see some better timing on the throws that, quite honestly, I don't know if Michael Van Buren can get in 2 weeks. He can against this secondary, though. This passing defense for Western Kentucky in the G6 is 75th because they're getting blasted by G6 teams from their secondary. Can Michael Van Buren find a way? Listen, what scares me is I still think you are going to have the buy-in. It scares me to not know that you ultimately will. There's really and truthfully, when I look at both of these teams, there's not an area, maybe offensive line, but there's not an area where I think that they should overwhelm you. This is a G6 team. Here's a hot take. I think you find your offense this week. I think timing's a lot better. I think Michael Van Buren's a lot better. And I think you look at the future of him being your starting quarterback. And when you get a new head coach in here, let's see what he thinks of Michael Van Buren as well. All right. Let's get to some super chats before we get out of here. Johnny Bravo with a $5 super chat says, is Kiffin hoping Ole Miss will fire him so he doesn't have to feel bad about leaving something he built? I'm sure it would make his decision easier. Listen, Johnny, I mean, I walked through this. I mean, he's certainly daring them to, right? Like, hey, man, you said that you're giving me an ultimatum. Fire me then. Again, I still believe, this is my theory, I still believe Ole Miss, more than LSU and more than Florida, is going to get the last talk to Lane Kiffin to get him to stay. What happens in that interview? What happens in those discussions? What happens in the last time that they talk? I mean, guys, we're about to find out if this ultimatum's real. They practice. I would assume they have one more practice tomorrow. I don't know their schedule, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And it's going to be his preference. It's not that you haven't courted him. Listen, I don't know if he wants him to fire him. LSU or Florida's got to make that decision. They got to make that decision. Are they going to pay the buyout or not? You know, does any of that matter? Does Keith Carter say, okay, well, you want to go somewhere else? You want to coach the playoffs and then look at your options? Well, then just leave. We have no idea what that meeting is going to be like, and I anticipate that there'll be a meeting sometime soon. They're going to have to talk about it. They can't keep going through this. They can't keep going through this whole rigmarole. But he is challenging them. Guys, here's the truth. Let's just call it what it is. At least this is what I believe. This is what I believe. I believe that they came out there and basically through the media told Lane, all right, well, we're not letting you coach. And he says, do it then, or meet my demands. You know, no one's talked about what are Lane's demands to Ole Miss. You know, in all of this, what's gotten missed, what are Lane's demands to Ole Miss? Do they need to give him more NIL money? What are the demands that he has for them? Can they even remotely match them? Guys, I don't know. Going to find out. OJ the Kid became a member on the YouTube channel along with Carl Wayne Townsend. Thank you both so much for being a part of the YouTube channel. Members of the YouTube channel will have some content out tomorrow. Andrew sends a $5 super chat, says, since Saban, LSU has never hired someone from his tree as their head coach. Is there any particular reason as to why that is? Love the content. Andrew, that's a valid question that I'd never thought about. I never thought about that. You know, you had Les for a long time, and a lot of Nick Saban's guys outside of Kirby really, and Kurt Signetti, I guess, haven't really panned out over the last, 12 of them that did become head coaches. Mario, I guess, is one of them. It's a good question that I've never thought about. That's a really, really, really good question. Are you going to do it here? Look, for me, it's either Lane Kiffin or Kenny Dillingham. That's where the buck stops for me. I'm going to support whoever the next head coach is, but that's where the buck stops with me. Louisiana Sports King of the Bayou gives a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Michael Terry with a $5 super chat says, Kiffin is tweeting out old memories like he's trying to remind the fans of the good that he's done. Of course he is. Of course he is. They have treated this situation like someone that's never been there before. A lot of you played baseball. A lot of you have heard the saying from a coach, act like you've been there before. Guys, they haven't. When you're pimping a home run and your coach screams at you, act like you've been there before. Well, coach, I haven't. Well, act like it. That's why I say act like you've been there before. They haven't. They are panicking. Whether they want to admit it or not, they are panicking. That's what this is. So, I mean, listen, when you build something that he's built, I mean, guys, fuck, I've been here. I've been in AYS since 2017. Not as like on and off as much as I've like on since 2019. But I mean, I've been here. I look, man, it would be a tough day in hell to give up AYS. And to be truthful with everybody in here, Ruffino and Joe show, from a national college football standpoint, beats the dog shit out of AYS from a numbers and money standpoint. I mean, guys, it's a national show. So, I mean, but I never want to give this up, ever. Who Dat Tigers with a $5 super chat says, I personally don't want Kiffin or his drama queen. Give me Dillingham. I understand that from a lot of fans. You don't want this drama and saga. I get it. Guys, I think Dillingham, again, I think Kenny Dillingham guys, I'm just telling you. It is of my opinion that Kenny Dillingham would come in here and absolutely obliterate shit, meaning in a good way. Guys, he's got the energy. He is a football guy. I think that he is exhausted of having to raise money to get scraps. And I don't think he would have that here. I don't think he'd have that here. He's a great play caller. He's a good offensive mind. Guys, he's my age. Could you imagine? Now, here's the downside of Kenny. Would you want somebody my age to be the head coach of LSU? Now, it wouldn't bother me because I think he's, full of piss and vinegar. It wouldn't bother me at all. But I love Kenny Dillingham. I think he's going to be a great head coach, if you ask me. Mr. Terps, with a $2 super chat, says, what would Kenny do with the same money? Dominate. Guys, I'm telling you, you're going to have to be patient with him. Okay, guys, he's still learning his own way. But, guys, I am telling you, Cam Scattaboo. I mean, like, this dude is working with potato sacks at Arizona State. Hey, man, we got really good salsa. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, he would kill it. I would tell you this from a play calling standpoint. The way that he sets things up is chef's kiss. It's a lot like Kiffinish. And they're going to come in here and run the ball. And listen, he will go to the podium. This is what I love about him the most. In the beginning of the season, so I talk about college football all year round. When it's March the 17th, when it's June the 5th, I talk about college football for a living all day, every day for all of my life, at least the last 4 years. So 3 years, whatever it is. I watch every Kenny Dillingham press conference, every one of them. I haven't missed one. What do you want to know? Let me tell you what Kenny Dillingham did in the beginning of the season. He told his team flat out that you practice like a 6-6 team and you ain't no good. And a rumor has it that he was with the offensive line for 2 weeks and was on their ass all 2 weeks because he said they were playing like sissies. That's what I heard. I don't know if I can't confirm that. But he loves running the football. He sets a lot of things up. He's a really, really, really freaking good coach. Really good coach. All right. We'll see how tomorrow. Uh-oh. What, Brandon? Huh? Okay. Let me go back to it. We're about to get out of here. See, I said 100% of the time we get your comments, but David just sent one in while we were getting out of here. $10 super chat from David says, just wanted to say I love your show. I'm on Facebook, but thought I'd show love on the tube. I disagree about Lane. He may very well come. He's a troll. What do you expect? Yeah, I just don't. First off, David, I greatly appreciate you being here. Thank you for the super chat. I'm glad that we disagree. If we all agreed, we wouldn't have a show, right? For me, and again, I've said this, I just don't see the avenue why he would do that. I get he's a troll. I get you're right. He is a troll. But at the same time, I don't know if he's trolling this situation. I get the concern, but we disagree there. But I greatly, greatly appreciate that you love the show. Guys, this has been the biggest thing to happen to AYS since, well, really forever. Truth be told. So it is what it is. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.